So guess what? Your thoughts today and your behavior today is producing your results next week. Whatever gets in our head, then over the next couple of weeks gets into our actions, and then over the next couple of weeks turns into results. So when I pay attention to what's in people's heads, I know in a couple of weeks it's going to change their behavior, and I know a couple of weeks later it's going to change their results. And so you can kind of plan out like, oh, this is where people are heading. This is where we're heading as a society. This is where we're heading as a human race. And so I don't have a crystal ball. I don't do crystal balls. I don't do that. But and people are like, well, how do you know what's coming? And it's like, well, thoughts turn into behaviors. Behaviors turn into results. And so when you pay attention to what's going on in your head, in a couple of weeks, that's what you're going to be acting like. And then in a couple of weeks after that, that's where your results are going to go. And so there's a very natural progression of things, of whatever gets in your head, gets in your behavior, which gets into your results. And so as I'm coaching people and I hear what's going on in their heads, and as I do training classes and I hear what's in their heads, then when I'm here to talk to you, it's like, okay, I see what's in people's heads and I bet it's in your head too. And so based upon that, this is what's going to happen in your behavior. And then this is where you're going to go with your results. So it's kind of predictable where you're headed. That's kind of funny, where you're headed because of what's in your head. Sorry, that's a little play on words there, but that kind of connected there. And so what I teach you today is to help interrupt that process from going down. So we want to interrupt any bad programming that's gotten in your head. We want to interrupt any behavior that is taking you down or slowly declining you in any area of your life. We want to interrupt that before it turns into a result. See, and that's a beautiful thing. You want to think about what I just showed you here is that there's thoughts, there's behavior, and then there's results. So it gives you two areas to interrupt what's about ready to happen. Now, the common person doesn't think in equations. And that this is an equation. It gets into your head, it gets into your behavior, it turns into result. And so most people don't think that way. They don't think about processes, and they don't think about equations, and they don't think about the cycle of things. Most people are very focused on, I need to get enough money to pay my house payment and pay for groceries. And that's totally legit, right? That's like on everybody's mind. And so it's a pretty dominant thought. And so they don't have time to think about what is happening to them. But I do. I think about this 100% of the time. And so what we want to do is we want to interrupt any bad programming, and we want to interrupt any behavior that is not productive and not serving you before it turns into, bam, a result. Because now if it gets into a result, oh, now you got to deal with that. So now it's not only in your head, it's not only in your behavior, but now it's showing up in your results. And so there's these two areas, your head and your behavior, that we can cause change or interrupt or a turn or an adjustment. And so showing up here to Master Influence training with me is a chance for me to give you an adjustment. No, I'm not a chiropractor, but I should think of a term that describes kind of like that process and call myself that. So I'm not a chiropractor to like give you an adjustment, but I'm kind of like that. So it's like it's funny. It's maybe like an attitude adjustment. Yeah, we could do that. That kind of doesn't sound like it. Kind of sound like a teenager thing. But I want to adjust your thinking, and then get a hold of your behavior and adjust behavior. And if we can adjust your thinking and adjust your behavior, guess what we just avoided? We just avoided a poor result. We just avoided that from happening. Now, I don't know where you're at. I mean, you could be on the verge of a poor result about ready to happen, because you could have stuff in your head, stuff in your behavior, and you're about ready to deliver a poor result. Maybe that's an argument. Maybe that's a bad attitude. Maybe it's depression. Maybe it's you're going to eat the whole cake for lunch. That's not a good result. It tastes good, but it's terrible to the body. Or maybe you're about ready to quit on yourself, or maybe you're about ready to give up or slip into hopeless. I don't know what this poor result is, but maybe right now we could, with your head and with your behavior, we could make 2 adjustments, or maybe even 1 adjustment, so that this poor result doesn't happen. So first, we want to avoid that poor result from, boom, coming to fruition. Next level is we want to adjust your head and your behavior so you actually are producing good results. Poor results, good results, right? But we got to look at this and go, where do we make the adjustments? Because it's happening to you every day. You're producing results from yesterday's behavior and from last week's thinking. Okay, so today's results came from yesterday's behavior and last week's thinking. So today, there are going to be results happen that didn't just get produced from today. That's something you got to know, is today's results are not just poof. They're not just Pop-Tart. Okay, we're not producing Pop-Tarts. This is something that has been growing and heading in this direction that could have been adjusted. But you probably didn't know you could adjust your thoughts and your behavior. But there are results today that you're going to have to experience if you don't make adjustments. Now, I'm not trying to spook you, but I'm trying to shake you and wake you up to go, every day is result experience from yesterday's behaviors and last week's thoughts. So guess what? Your thoughts today and your behavior today is producing your results next week. Next week's results are already in the oven. They're already being baked. Okay, so it's happening unless you make some adjustments. So you are already producing tomorrow's results, Friday's results. You're already in the process of creating those. Now, to some people, they just can't get this. They're like, no, that doesn't happen that way, Kirk. It's only what I do today, and it's only what I think today that produces today. And I'm like, hold on. How long does it take a baby to grow? How many weeks? It takes a lot of weeks. How long does it take before the chicken hatches? There's gestation period. See, people don't think about gestation. They don't. They just think about delivery. Oh, look, I got this poor result. Oh, that must have came from right now. No, it did not. It has been in gestation period. And now it's finally delivered. See, most people don't understand the stages of creation. They don't understand that there's conception, gestation, and delivery. So when we think thoughts, we are conceiving a result that's going to be delivered. When we think thoughts, this is conception. We are conceiving thoughts that then, through behavior, is the gestation experience. So conception, behavior is the gestation, and then boom, it happens, it's the delivery. I know this sounds totally wild and crazy, but boy, if you could think this way, you would get into interrupting your thoughts, because it's like, oh my gosh, I'm thinking this. I have got to change my thoughts, because if I think this, it's going to happen next week, and that's going to be a mess. Your thoughts are conception of a result that's going to happen tomorrow, next week, next month, 3 months from now, a year from now. Your thoughts are conceiving results. There is a direct link between thoughts and results.